Still need to find a new app to record my videos, but today Gavin Newsom declared today Fred Korematsu Day, and if you don't know who Fred Korematsu, here's my video from a few years ago when I did it for Asian American Heritage Month. The third person that should be on U.S. currency before Anna May Wong is this guy, Fred Korematsu. It's Asian American Heritage Month, where I try to share Asian American history every day this month. Fred Korematsu was born in Oakland, California, making him an American citizen. And you should already know the history after Pearl Harbor was bombed and Executive Order 9066 was issued, where Fred defied the order and carried on with his life because he was an American citizen. Fred went as far as getting minor plastic surgery to alter his appearance to look less Japanese and try to rename himself to Clyde Sarah and say that he was Spanish and Hawaiian descent. But he was arrested anyways, and the ACLU took his case, where he was convicted in federal court for violating Executive Order 9066, where he was placed on a 5-year probation at the Tanforan Assembly Center in San Bruno, California, when he was later transferred to Topaz, Utah. And you should know this case because Korematsu lost his landmark case in the Supreme Court 6-3, where they're declaring the incarceration was not caused by racism bullshit, which was justified. The Army claims the Japanese Americans were radio signaling enemy shit from shore and were prone to disloyalty. No, that's racism! Where they called the incarceration of the Japanese Americans a military necessity. Yes, the dissenting opinion by Justice Robert Jackson called out the lack of evidence to justify the incarceration. And after the Japanese were released from America's concentration camps, he moved to Detroit, Michigan, where he met his wife and got married there because interracial marriages were legal there. And Korematsu maintained his innocence because we were all innocent. It was in 1980 where President Jimmy Carter appointed a special commission to instigate a federal review of the facts and circumstances that incarcerated the Japanese Americans, where that commission found that J. Edgar Hoover of the FBI, the FCC, and the Office of Naval Intelligence and other authoritative intelligence agencies categorically denied that the Japanese Americans had committed any wrongdoings. These official reports were never presented to the U.S. Supreme Court and has been intentionally suppressed, and one case destroyed by setting the report on fire. And after that was found, the U.S. Justice Department had the gall to offer a pardon to Korematsu if he would agree to drop his lawsuit. In rejecting the offer, Catherine Korematsu remarked that Fred was not interested in a pardon from the government. Instead, he always felt that it was the government who should seek pardon from him and from the Japanese Americans for the wrongs that they committed. So on November 10th, 1983, they overturned Korematsu's conviction. But that wasn't all. He traveled to Washington to lobby for a passage of a bill that would grant an official apology from the U.S. government and a token compensation for each surviving Japanese American that was incarcerated. After the bill passed, President Ronald Reagan was initially opposed to signing the redress, but he gave in on August 10th, 1988, passing the bill. Yeah, America apologized for that damn mistake. But Fred wasn't done yet, because in 2003, he filed an amicus brief with the Supreme Court for what was going on in Guantanamo Bay. And he did it again in 2004. But given today's current events, American society, especially the government, has not learned its lesson, which is why he should be on U.S. currency.